Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey here once again with another video on The Flash Season 8 and yeah, I'm still sick. I might even be worse, I'm not too sure. But this week on The Flash we have a bit of a, I guess like a unique episode, or at least from my memory, it's unique, as it's an episode that is focused, or at least, built around the funeral for a Team Flash member. And we have, of course, had various people associated with Team Flash die in the past. But if you remember correctly, they were all in like, the last 2 or 3 episodes of a season, sometimes the finale. So there is just a lot going on around, those points of the season where it isn't the main thing to be focused on, at that various point in time. But this week, we still have 7 episodes to go for this season. So this allows an episode to take place where you properly get to see the impact that the death of, Frost in this case has on mainly Barry and Caitlin, but also how it affects like just the overall functioning of Team Flash as a whole and how they go about things from this point forward. Now, one other little thing to mention quickly before we move into the rest of the video is that a little over a week from now, we have the CW upfronts. Now, a lot of people are trying to make a big deal of this. I'm not saying it's not going to be a big deal either. I'm just not too sure how big of a deal it's going to be. I think anything Flash related, the only thing Flash related here that could be announced is maybe if season 9 is going to be the final season. But even then, the upfronts haven't been a place where they necessarily announce things like that. Usually it's to announce just what's happening in the next year, and whether something's the last season, like season 9 of Flash could be. Usually that's announced either beforehand or maybe just after or something, usually not at the upfronts. But of course, everything's a little bit weird. Like, the world's been a bit weird for 2 or 3 years now, and they haven't done a proper upfronts for a while. So maybe they might change up how they do certain things and everything like that. But yeah, the CW upfronts are in just over a week from now. So if there's anything interesting that comes from there, we'll obviously do a video or 2 on them. But yeah, going into it, I'm not too sure how much Flash stuff there will be, or even like Superman and Lois. I think it's mainly going to be focusing on all like the new stuff that's coming our way from the CW. But yeah, I'm not too sure, in regards to the current shows, how much there will be. But yeah, for the main part of this video, we're going to be going over a couple of interviews, or at least segments of interviews, that were done through a couple of outlets with Danielle Panabaker, who of course plays Caitlin and I guess formerly Frost on The Flash. Now, these 2 outlets are TV Line and Entertainment Weekly. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know your various thoughts, opinions, theories, predictions, everything like that in the comment section down below, and what you're looking forward to in regards to any of this stuff, because some of this stuff revolves around the immediate effect or impact of what's happening, in this week's episode, maybe the next one as well, but also the season finale. There's a bit of a tease in this interview as well. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down there in the comments, and of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, want to show your support and everything like that, want to drop a like on the video to, well, do all that. So TV Line asked Danielle about how Team Flash will react to Frost's death going forward, and this is what Danielle had to say. I think that every team member is going to have a different journey. For Barry, who's been around the longest, it's going to be a challenge for him to learn to move on, but most significantly for Caitlin. She's lost so much in her life already and only recently come to a fairly symbiotic place with Frost. They've certainly had their ups and downs over the years, so it's going to hit Caitlin the hardest, and she's going to grieve in a variety of different ways, which is realistic and authentic. There's denial, anger, resentment. She'll probably go through it all before the end of this season. So yeah, this has been something that we did discuss. I think it was in not only the review for last episode when Frost did die, but also the trailer breakdown, because the trailer for the episode did sort of show Barry struggling about going forward, I guess, because Caitlin's obviously going to feel some, obviously, grief, but also maybe some responsibility of what happened, because she brought Deathstorm, to life, and Frost was the one that had to give herself up to get rid of Deathstorm. But also Barry on the other side, wasn't able to take down Deathstorm with his powers. So all he could do is sit there and watch. So on both sides with Barry and Caitlin, you're going to have both of them feeling a bit of guilt and maybe even responsibility as to what happened, because they couldn't help in any way, shape or form. So that's definitely going to be an interesting part of at least this week's episode directly, or in particular. So I'm intrigued to see how they, address it and tackle it, and also maybe how they overcome it as well. Danielle was then asked about season 9 and whether we will see her in there, if she's returning. I hope to be back. I will say that I was very surprised to see that there was another season ordered. I think that emotionally, I, at least, was planning for season 8 to be our last. But I'm grateful to the show and to the fans, and hopefully there's more story to be told. Now, I was sort of surprised to see this in the interview because the way that Danielle posted on Instagram when season 8 finished filming, and also I think when season 9 was announced, made it sound like she was coming back. And also, shortly after season 9 was confirmed as well, Deadline and other places like that reported that both Danielle Panabaker as well as Candice Patton, who plays Iris, were in negotiations for season 9 contracts. And, we know that Jesse L. Martin is leaving as a regular and is going to be a recurring. So I think up to like 5 or 6 episodes for season 9 is going to be in. So they would really want to try and keep Danielle and Candice because they're the other 2 remaining characters from season 1, which obviously also means they're going to get a pay increase as well. So I'd be very surprised if either of them left. But of course, I have to wait and find out. I'm sure we'll find out pretty soon who's coming back for season 9 and who isn't. But now we have some questions and answers from the interview with Entertainment Weekly. So they first asked, now that Deathstorm is gone, what's next for Caitlin and Team Flash? As we close up graphic novel number 2, there's a little bit of an interlude before they head into graphic novel number 3, and you'll see a little bit less of Caitlin. I directed episode 17, and I kind of take a step back when I'm directing, and you won't see me on camera as much. But by the end of this season, you will see where Caitlin is headed. And there's a big cliffhanger at the finale. Of course, you would expect nothing less. Now, for those that don't know, we're heading into a stretch of you could argue 4 or 3 interlude episodes. I don't know if you would count this week's episode as an interlude one, because for me, I think it carries on from the Deathstorm arc and it sort of fits into that storyline. But if you do include this week's episode as an interlude, then there's 4 interlude episodes. But they all don't really seem overly interlude-y like last season's did, because you have this week's one, which is straight after the Deathstorm one. Episode 15 is Into the Still Force, which seems like a cool episode, and episode 16 is like some weird thing going on with Barry. So, they might be seen as interlude or filler episodes, or at least some of them, but they still seem fun. The only one that doesn't sound very fun is episode 17, which is the one that Danielle directed, which is... it was in the interview. I didn't include in this video, but I will mention it. Episode 17 is an Allegra episode. So I think it's literally Allegra. She's the main character in that episode. That episode has me worried just based off last season's Allegra episode, and pretty much everything revolved around Allegra this season hasn't been that great. But yeah, episode 17 is the only interlude episode that I'm not looking forward to that much. For obvious reasons. But obviously, in regards to the cliffhanger at the finale, I'm very intrigued to see what it is, because if they are going into season 9 expecting it or believing it to be the final season, will they do like a Arrow's season 7 finale and what they did? How he had the Monitor show up. Not saying the Monitor's going to show up to Barry, but something in that regard. So it's like this is the end game for the show and this story with Barry on the show. I'm very curious to see what the cliffhanger could be. And if we haven't got an announcement by the time that that's airing, as to whether the Flash season 9 is the final season, then maybe the cliffhanger would tell us that, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. And finally, the final thing in this video, you mentioned the season finale cliffhanger. We're still a bit of a ways off, but can you reveal about that, or what can you reveal about that episode now that we know it won't be the series finale? This season's finale is going to be huge. There's a lot of returning faces, familiar faces, which is always fun to have. I think this is the biggest finale we've attempted in a couple of years, so I can't wait for fans to see it. It'll be an interesting end of the season. It's a doozy for sure. Now, we of course know a bunch of the returning faces, but we've also got the tease that there's a surprise cameo or appearance by someone that people wouldn't expect. So that gets tied into it, along with the big cliffhanger that Danielle mentioned in the previous question as well. So we know over the past couple or few years, they haven't been able to do anything massive because of COVID. And then in season 6, for example, they just got, the season didn't even end properly. So I'm excited to see what this finale is like. Based off everything we've seen from set photos, it seems like it has that finale feel in regards to size and cast and everything like that. So I'm excited to see what they do. But as I said in the previous question as well, I'm very curious to see how they potentially set up season 9 if it is going to be the final season. That is the thing that has me probably intrigued the most, or something I'm very curious about at the very least heading into the season 8 finale. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show your support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions about everything we went over. Hopefully my voice wasn't it's even worse today, I can tell. But yeah, hopefully it wasn't a drag to listen to. But if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.